Good afternoon and welcome back to Interior Designer Plays. And welcome back to part 2 of Let's Build Ashton Manor. The interior now. Last week we created this very eclectic manor in, I always want to say Brindle Bay, but it's Henford-on-Bagley. On the 64 by 64 lot, and we have made this into a opulent extravaganza. It only has 2 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and multiple seating arrangements, dinner places, salons, study areas, libraries, as you would expect from any good mansion on the countryside. Everything to just relax. And that is really the vibe I went for. I made this into a very not too formal environment, so there's not too many waiting rooms. I would imagine that the guests that would be received in this house would be guests of the family and would therefore not have to wait in the more opulent waiting rooms, but have access to the more discreet family areas with all the family portraits and with then more intimate pieces of furniture. So as you can see, we're on to Salon 1 with this amazing stove. I believe it's from little Felixandre, or it's an interpretation of this, and it's a stove which was normally put in the side of the room and would then be made fire in, and that would really heat the room, and this would also emit heat and would be safer than an open fireplace. So I put this into a few rooms because I wanted to show that this house was built at a certain point with all the fireplaces, and was then slowly but surely upgraded. God, my voice is disappearing. Slowly but surely updated. So the apartments that we are now in are the oldest ones in the house, I would imagine, and that's also the way that I decorated them, in a very French style. And they're on the south and the east side of the house, yes, because the sun comes up in the east. I had to think there for a moment. And so they're on the east side of the house, so they would catch the morning sun very well in this first room in this first breakfast room we decorated. And it has its own stairwell, as you can see here, to more private apartments on the second floor, basically. Why did I split it up? Because I imagined that whilst this project was being done, the family had already moved in one side of the house, or could already come from the city to their country estate through then one part of the house already being finished and the other part or still being under construction. A bit like what happened in Versailles. The court already moved in without certain wings being finished. They literally sometimes went through construction sites. We moved on to now basically more the central room of the house, which is a formal dining room, which also has this very massive fireplace from Felixandre that I put there because I would believe that the ground had been already in ownership of the family, and therefore they had another building or another piece of property on the land or in the same location sometimes, and took this fireplace, which was probably built by one of their great ancestors, and would then reuse it as a sort of I was looking for the word, as a sort of remembrance of their family's lineage. Now, let me tell you a bit more about the structure of the house, because it isn't the most logical, but then those houses rarely were. So on the first floor is basically the private and official apartments of the family. Receiving rooms, well, even though I said there weren't many receiving rooms or wasn't many need, but there were salons, let's call them salons, and different dining rooms, breakfast rooms. Throughout the day, you can basically move throughout all the rooms of the house to still catch the sun in the right position. And then you have two, in a way, two symmetrical built sides of the house. One is the, as I would imagine it to be, known as the ladies' side, and the other one is known as the male side. But in design or in interior, it doesn't particularly matter or doesn't change much. And they both have a same sort of stairwell going up to the second floor, where then the private bedrooms are of the owners of the house, which we are decorating now. We're decorating the private bedroom in the ladies' wing. And on the lower floors we have the servant kitchen, the servants' dining room, offices for the servants, and they are on the east side of the building. And on the west side of the building you can find more office rooms and more business, where estate affairs could be handled, more offices basically for the family to receive and to have meetings in. And then upstairs, so in the second floor, basically. Oh no, I forgot one room on the ground floor, and that is a boot room, where after the hand you would come in, and then from the garden side you would come in, and you could then take off your boots, have like a glass of punch or whatever, and then go upstairs to change and then join the others again. Now, next to the bedroom of Madame, let's say, there is then still a very big private area with a personal dining room and a personal living room. I believe that is, for the explanation of the house, almost it. There was one more thing which I wanted to share with you, is why the outside and the inside clash so much. So the outside looks very English style, German, and the inside looks very French. And so I believe through marriage they were closely related to French nobility, and partners or family members would bring certain styles from home and redecorate the apartments given to the style of the moment. So we see in the first rooms we decorated, we have a very heavy Baroque Rococo style, Louis the 15th chairs, desks, all these things. And then now moving more to the apartments that we are in now, we will see that we are more moving to Empire style, so the style of the empire in France, basically a bit more Napoleonesque. And then you have, of course, these Regency era paintings of other members of the families, of artists he supported, those things. So I wanted to emphasize this also in this interior, that it flows through and really gives this atmosphere of opulence, but also not static. It was not built at all at the same moment. It was redecorated. I mean, it was all built at the same moment, but it was redecorated slowly and moved on slowly from one taste to the other. The new owner of the house would redecorate according to its taste and according to the amount of budget that was available. And I think you see this very well throughout the whole house, that different periods and different pieces of furniture were also brought in. So again, here we're having this very rococo, heavy couches, which were very nice to make screenshots with. But yeah, it just changes the vibe and the atmosphere. So that is basically all I further have to share about the build with you. It will be available on the gallery. Most of the CC is from Felixandre, but I will make a list of all the CC I use down below in the video, so if you want to download it in its state, you can find it here, which will probably be very difficult. I will link the content creators down below, so you can check them out. Certainly the paintings do a lot for the build. They just give it that added history which you otherwise do not always get in other Sims builds. And then the wallpapers, of course. They're actually all from the Gym 07, but just check out the link below. Then this build, maybe some stats, is worth more than 2 million simoleons, and took me a good 8 to 10 hours to build over a couple of days. And you can also see this, that it's really repetitive. With it's another dining room, it's another painting of the family, and this is another picture, and this is another candelabra that we're putting here, and more curtains and more opulence. So you can really feel that this is that this was a bit, tedious is not the right word, but intense. And as you also saw me just do just a moment ago, I sometimes look back from the outside, take a step back, and I think you should really do this with your builds for your own game. Is when you're building and you've lost it for a moment, and believe me, we've all been there. Just take a step back, zoom out, take a walk, whatever, and then come back, and new ideas may appear, and also it's what you will see me do multiple times, or I might have cut it. No, I've cut most of the times out, but there was one a minute ago, I believe, where I just move with the camera through the build to get the look and feel, how it all comes together, and how flows are. And in these builds, it's of course, I find it always extra important to have very inefficient flows. So you don't have much access to a central hallway, or a central hallway which leads nowhere. And then certainly with the doubling of so many rooms, it is, it just adds this sort of grandeur to it. Functionality was none of their concerns, because they didn't have to do anything themselves. They had other people running around for them. That's basically the gist, not the main idea of the owners of the house. But I walk through it and I go, okay, does this feel right? Does this break in color scheme? Can it be justified? And if so, how can it be justified? And why would I have been here? And as you can see, I made up a story. I basically created a client for myself, which is, of course, from the profession, you take this with you. Of course, you create sort of a client, or you have a client, and they have a personality. They have certain things that they like, certain things that they don't like, and they move and this is shown, and they move with you through the house everywhere. You need to be able to see this personality, and certainly if you then can have the opportunity to decorate separate bedrooms, you can really make this come to life. And in this build I did this, for instance. You will see it later. The male's apartment is it's not more manly, because I didn't want to go into that stereotype, but it's much more focused on you will see that it's a map room basically, with then this very big bed in it, but not as bombastic as the madam's bedroom is. So I find these are very important things which at first you might not completely notice, but give your builds personality, and certainly work for me to create these builds. Now, as I said, 8 to 10 hours. This cost me. Next week will be something of a more manageable scale, and I don't know if I will do something historical again. Well, historical is not the right word, but something historically inspired, or just something modern for a change. So that is basically all from me for you. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video, and certainly enjoy the screenshots, and I will see you again next Thursday. Bye! And here we are in the screenshots. This is inevitably the end of the video. If you like the video, please leave a like and leave a comment of what you would like to see me do next. Subscribe if you want to see more content of me appear on your YouTube page. And I wish you a very pleasant day. Bye.